reminded you that you are perfect, would you argue me down or step into your perfection? Welcome to Perfect Mode, where there are no excuses, no expectations, and we explore the world without limitations. I'm JClay, rapper, the spiritual teacher, with my co-host Troy Washington, your friendly neighborhood realtor. Let's be real, so let's be perfect. Everything, anything, plenty things, perfect. Everything, anything, plenty things, perfect mode. Everything, anything, plenty things, perfect mode. Everything, anything, plenty things, perfect mode. Perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode. Everything, anything, plenty things, perfect mode, perfect mode. Everything, anything, plenty things, perfect mode. Perfect.
What up? What up? Welcome to Perfect Mode. First off is yours truly, Troy Washington, your friendly neighborhood realtor. And I have my boy JClay, spiritual rapper and teacher. And we're about to jump on here today to talk about embracing uncertainty. But before we start, I want to start by saying that we love y'all and we're grateful for the opportunity to be anywhere sharing our thoughts and hopefully helping you realize that you are perfect. And the reason why I can unapologetically say that is because I know that you are one of one, numero uno, cannot be duplicated, replicated. And the only reason you will say that you're not perfect is if you're looking at this person right here and saying, guess what? I'm not them. But guess what? You are you, and that's all. What up, Jay?
What up? Happy day, happy Sunday, happy winter Sunday day on this beautiful day in perfect land with all the perfect people. Another day to exercise perfection, practice being perfect, and just practice being us, man, because practice made us. We're perfect. That's just what we are. And yeah, man, I'm so happy to talk about embracing uncertainty today, just because you'll see. But go ahead.
It's funny though, man. When I asked you just a second ago what our topic was going to be, because as you can see, I'm not in the office today. I'm actually in Fort Worth at a company called Blank Space. And we're shooting a documentary on how we got to the point that we are right now, even with us doing Perfect Mode. And the reality for me and what I realized, it was all based off of uncertainty. I mean, I always knew what direction I was headed, but I didn't know how I was going to get there, how it was going to be done. And just to know that I'm in to sit right here with one of my best friends in the world, do something that I love to do to help us, become and realize our perfection. And knowing that along the way, I was uncertain a lot of the times, it's just a testament of what this show is about. But what was your thinking when you saw embracing uncertainty?
Well, it's so much, and I know it's like all of our topics, they kind of go in order because we're all on this journey. One of the main things is just that, like, last week it was time for action. Now we're taking this action, but we are uncertain of the outcomes. And it's about being okay with that, like without knowing everything is going to be all right, even though you know everything is going to be all right, but still you don't know the details of it. You don't know the intricacies of what's going on. And it's about being okay with that, embracing it and seeing it from a different perspective. Because like once you really embrace uncertainty, it becomes a friend in a sense that it's like it's a comfortable place to be.
You know what? I guess before I get into it, you can see again, like I told you, I'm in a different place, and I didn't get to be blessed enough to wear my Perfect Mode shirt today. But I said all that to say that for everybody that would like a Perfect Mode shirt, you can always hit us up in the comments or hit us up in the inbox, and we can do it. But not knowing where you're gonna go, man, it's a crazy feeling. Knowing where you want to go, but not knowing how it's going to go. And I feel like a lot of times in my life, that's the limbo that I feel like I've always been in. Even when it came to us making music, even when it came to us working on our additional businesses, it's like we have this grandiose thought of how it's supposed to be. And that's the thing that always kind of initiated the fire in us to start to move. But then once you started to go, it was like, is it really? The crazy part is it really going to look like what I thought it was going to look like? But you don't think about that until you're actually in it. And I think that's where it's always been, or where I've always been lying at, I guess, in my life. But what about you?
Yeah. So okay. So to start off, like I love bringing up the home example, and you're somewhere else and you want to get home. So your aim is home and you want to get there, but then your flight's delayed. You get there, a road is closed. You got to take another road. It's a lot of traffic. Now you're going to get home simply because you set that in your mind. You said no matter what, I'm going home. So like unless my house isn't there, I'm going home. But you won't know your house isn't there until you get there to see that your house isn't there. So you still get to where you're going no matter what. So there's still a level of certainty in the sense that, okay, I'm not stopping until I get there. It may take 5 days longer than I expected. It might take a month longer than I expected, but I'm going to get there. But then there's also like a goal. Like, okay, I have a goal to get home in 30 minutes or less. It's probably not going to happen. It might happen. It usually happens, but you don't know for certain that that's going to happen because there's too many outside factors that come into play with that. And if you zoom out and remember that I'm going home, I'm going to be at home. It might not be when I want to. I'm going to be at home. You can start to embrace that uncertainty by having that overcast focus, so to speak.
So in your example, which I love, by the way, the limbo, right? I know for a fact, no matter what, when I'm going to my house from this location that I'm at, it's going to take me 30 minutes, right? But again, there's a lot of roadblocks, a lot of hills. There's a lot of different things that could potentially, like, you cannot predict. You cannot prepare yourself for it. And so this is where you get caught. Now it's taking me 2 days and I'm still not there, right? Now, the trick is, how can you embrace knowing that this is unrealistically too much time. This is really just too much time to be spending to get home. Can I really get there? And I think that's where, like, when it comes to achieving goals, like, there's a blueprint, there's framework that goes into place that we kind of marry ourselves to, right? Like, you can do this. I can get home within 30 minutes. And again, if there's a couple roadblocks, it might take me an hour. It might take me an hour and 30 minutes. But when you get outside of the realm of what you projected, then it becomes really, really difficult to embrace uncertainty. And I think that's where a lot of people lie. That's where I've lived at again. Even in the things that we do today, like, I can see exactly what I want vividly. I can know exactly how it's supposed to go. And then the next thing I know, there's this roadblock that's just really too tall for me to climb. Now I got to embrace not only getting to where I'm trying to go to, but the fact that there's a new obstacle that I have to know that I can get past, or I have to know that I can get beyond. And that's where I think that we find ourselves stuck a lot of the times. What do you say?
Yeah, I agree. And I would say to that, don't even worry about the obstacle. And so what I mean is, your blueprint, your mind's blueprint is set to home no matter what. And so even if you gave up, which I really suggest doing, like, you might be like, fine, maybe it's not meant for me to go home today. And then, like, once you give up that notion, you can see what your purpose is in the place that you're at for that moment. And it might be just to say hi to somebody, but then right after that, you get home. You're able to get home. It's like, it was that easy. I remember back in, I think it was 2008, I think. There was like a hurricane. There's something, I forgot what happens here in Houston. Whatever happens, it was one of those that kind of did a number on the city, on parts of the city. And like, me and my family, we went to the north side and we stayed at a hotel. I found out later that the hotel next to us, the roof caved in. Crazy. But anyway, the next morning, the storm had passed and I was headed home, which was like 30 plus minutes away. And the streets, the roads are still semi-flooded. But I was like, let me just get an early drive out there and go. As I'm driving, the rain just started pouring heavy. It just got dark. It looked like I wasn't gonna make it. I was just like, oh man, this is crazy. But then I have a tendency that if I get too nervous, it's like I overcompensate and then get super calm. It's like, okay, let me just take a breath. in that moment, I heard as a quote, "Ye of little faith," and I'm like, man, you're right. I trust whatever happens is gonna happen. And as soon as I did that, I kid you not, like, as soon as it was like the skies opened up, the sun came through, the rain let up, and it was a clear ride all the way back to home in a sense. And I've had that story replay over and over again where I get caught up in some idea of what I expect to happen versus my intention, and it always works out the same. Once I let go, once I release, once I give up or surrender in a way, everything is okay again, because now I'm not so tied to a specific way of being. I can allow beingness to just flow.
What I love about it is the fact of, okay, so not finding purpose in every moment, but knowing that every moment is purposeful. I think that's important, and I think that I think that's where we kind of lose it at. You know what I mean? Because we like to diminish moments. We like to act like this moment doesn't really matter, or this moment doesn't provide any value. And I like the fact of realizing that every moment is purposeful. I mean, even if it's for you just to be still, even if it's for you to reflect and, you know, be able to, like you did in that moment, realize what you knew it was to be true. Like, you know, it's all good. It's I don't want to say that it's really not that serious, but it's really not that serious. And I think that understanding every moment has its perfect purpose is key in that. But again, that's still something that's hard to see when your end goal is a lot of time your only focus. And I think that, you know, just looking past those moments is where a lot of people live. I know it's where I've lived at anyway. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about that too, because right, it's not to take your mind off the goal, but like once your aim is within you, it's just in you. Like it's nothing you can do about it at that point, and that's what you want. So in a way, you can release it. Like they always say, the last step in manifesting is letting it go. Like you set your intention, you sit in that energy for a while, and then you let it go. But it makes sense. Like if you think about somebody that wants to be happy, and then you think about somebody that's actually happy. Like the person that wants to be happy are probably saying, I want to be happy. I want to be happy. The happy person is not going around telling anybody that they're happy. You can just see it. It's just reflected on them at all times. Like, man, they are just happy. And so it's more about that state of being. Like whatever you want. Like I know I'm gonna go home. Like I'm gonna be all right. And when you in that, it's nothing that's gonna stop that. It might be delayed, but there's nothing that's ever gonna stop it.
I think too, the mind shift is how you think about the uncertainty, right? Like uncertainty shouldn't be uncertainty. I don't know another way to, you know, phrase it, but that's why I like pointing to the point of knowing that every moment is purposeful, whether you can see it or not. Because when you start to look at it that way, then there in reality there is no uncertainty. And there have been plenty times, bro, where I've been somewhere that I didn't think that I was supposed to be at that time. And, you know, just using people that, you know, using an example, like somebody was like, man, I'm glad you was here today, because had you not been here, I probably would have did something different, or this would have happened, or, you know, it's been times where I've been able to help somebody where I was trying to rush and I felt like I was behind the ball, but I end up just being a saving grace for somebody by being at a place that I didn't feel like I was supposed to be. And again, I don't want to make it seem like it has to be to that extent where you always have to help somebody, but sometimes you're just helping yourself. Sometimes having that peace of mind, and that's why I like your story about you being in the car in the rain, is like, we needed to, you, in my mind, you needed to slow down. You know what I'm saying? Like, and take a breather, because wherever you was going had you not rushing physically, but mentally. And I just, you know, just understanding those purpose in those moments is important. Go ahead, Jay.
Man, I love that. Whatever it had you rushing mentally, and that's it, man. Like we're always, I don't want to say always, but at times that's what it is. People are rushing mentally, then seeing like what does this moment hold? This moment holds something for me. It's called the present for a reason. What is that? And until we're willing to ask the question to recognize it, we'll never see it. Shout out to some. I heard this twice already, and I got to bring it back. I don't know who said it first, but it was just like the look around your room for something red, you know, and you'll see a bunch of stuff like, ooh, that's red, that's red, that's red, yeah. And then it says now, how many things that's brown did you see? And then you're like, well, not that many. That's because you weren't looking for it. And it's the same way. Like if something is orange red, you might count it as red just to help yourself be successful at what you're doing. And I just thought that was conveyed in such a beautiful way. I think it was Tony Robbins who said that, actually. Now that I think about it. But it doesn't matter. What does matter is what you look for, you're going to find. And if you know that you're stuck in a situation that you just can't control it, you're uncertain about anything, just say, okay, let me look for the peace in this moment. Let me look for what's good and what's great about what's going on right now.
I'm glad you said that, because I literally was just about to ask you, like, well, I guess first before I ask you is to say that sometimes people don't know what to look for because you're so busy looking ahead. It's like, what could be here? What could be here right now? You know what I'm saying? And I love the fact that you said, where is my peace at this moment? Because, you know, a part of the I guess the madness is, you know, you're not at peace because you feel like you have to be doing something else. You're supposed to be doing something else. And I think definitely a key to this is, you know, looking at the peace, looking for peace in that moment. And I want to read what Angela Anderson said. Uncertainty only comes, shouts out to Angela, yeah. Uncertainty only comes when holding an expectation or in comparison to what has been known before. Residing within the present moment with full now moment awareness, uncertainty does not and cannot exist. Yeah, straight
So
up.
true.
Yeah,
and I love that, because it's true. Like every moment is perfect, but it's almost like you can never know it until you allow that to be. And once you let go, in a sense of how you think everything is supposed to be, every piece, you can actually see the perfection that's playing out for your benefit in every single moment, and it's beautiful.
Right. So this makes me think about, man, like a year ago, me and my wife, we went to Cabo for our anniversary. And I remember we were sitting at this restaurant. We were waiting to be seated. We was like sitting in a waiting area. And she was taking pictures of herself, right? She was trying to get the perfect pose. And I'm just looking at her, and of course, in my mind, I'm thinking, why are you taking so many pictures? You know, that's just the man part of me. You know, me like, why are you doing so many pictures? Why are you taking them so many times? And she was trying to find the perfect picture, right? And I told her in that moment, like, you are the perfect picture exactly how you are, right? And you know, the thought that came to my mind was, we're out again, going back to what you said, trying to find peace in a moment versus trying to make a moment perfect because we think we know what it's supposed to look like. And you know, I think about that's her, using her as an example. You know, in pictures, I know that I've done that in a lot of instances, not with pictures, but with other things. It's trying to be in complete control of a moment when the moment cannot be controlled, right? And go ahead, Jay.
So check this out. And me and you talk about this a lot about this show. So in the beginning, when we first started doing this years ago, I personally was uncertain that, man, can we talk that long about a certain topic? And it's two ways to go. Now, one way is I can get as prepared as I can be to control everything. I can find out all the information I want to know and then be able to say it here. Or I can trust. I can fully trust in who I am, what I've learned, the wisdom I have to share, and be in that. Now, both paths are valid, but one can become a crutch. Like if you start relying on your ability to do certain things instead of just relying on yourself as you are now, it's a very different feeling. And like if you just rely on yourself how you are now without anyone knowing any of your credentials or anything, you stand on just who you are in this moment. There is no place or no time or no instant where you can't thrive and appreciate not only yourself but just the moment as well.
So to that point, I'm gonna go back to my wife. There's not a picture that she could, like, I was looking at her. You get what I'm saying? And she was trying to create something, and again, in her own mind, that was real. You see what I'm saying? But not realizing the moment that she was in was already real. You know what I mean? And now you're setting a standard of, now whenever I take a picture, it has to be like this, or I have to recreate or make it something better, as if what's now is not good enough. And I asked her in that moment, like, why you doing that? And she was like, I gotta have the perfect picture. And now I'm thinking to myself, like, you have to understand that we have the perfect picture now. Nothing's wrong with it. If you can accept this as it is, then it makes everything else way easier. You know, that's just kind of how I see it. But go ahead, Jay.
So I got to tell the travel stories, man. Like Troy and I became cool. Well, one, because we did music together, but then like when it was time to go on trips, we didn't question it. We just went, and we had some phenomenal trips, like things that you just couldn't even expect happen. And in one instance, like we didn't have any expectations, but we also did, and I'll say what I mean. So like we went on some college trips when we were broke, and we lived like kings with no money. That was one thing. So then we talked about this before, but we needed money for a music video. We went to Miami to sell a bunch of CDs. We sold a bunch of CDs, got our money, and so the following years we were like, where can we go with a lot of people? We went to Cancun. Now in Cancun, we expected to sell 10 times as many CDs. So we brought all kind of CDs. We even got taxed at the border because we had that many CDs. And when we got there, we couldn't sell anything because nobody carried money. Everybody had their wristband, all inclusive, and it was like at that moment we could have been defeated and just kept trying, but we said, okay, what does this moment hold? Let's just have fun. We've been working hard all year. Let's just have fun. And in the letting go of that and having fun, we did that. It exceeded all of our expectations. People came to us to want to buy our CDs. Like everything was just flipped. And even in the instances where we still tried to carry the expectation of the year before, we always got hit with that same point. Like, let's just let this go and let whatever happen. And then that's when it really did exceed our expectations. So you set your intention, forget the expectation. But go ahead.
No, it's funny. I'm glad you brought up the trips because and setting the expectation, because you are absolutely right, bro. Like that defeat is no joke. And I'm glad that I didn't feel it then, but I felt it before, so I know. But we had so much on the line at that time. I felt like that. I'm surprised that we didn't break, honestly. You know what I'm saying? But the beautiful part about it is, and again, I just want to give a little bit more detail. We took 1,000 CDs with us to Mexico. Like what happened, we could not have expected to happen. When we were in the airport, they stopped us, and they like, what is this y'all are bringing into this airport right now? And then they took us to the back and they counted the CDs. And they were like, okay, well, we were going to sell the CDs for like $1 or $2 a piece, maybe. You know what I'm saying? They charged us probably like 50 cents per CD, right? And then we could not sell anything. But the beautiful thing is, while we were there, we ended up performing. Again, performing was never an expectation at all. Like at multiple places, it was never an expectation. And that's part of the reason why, you know, people came to us, because we ended up performing on the beach. We ended up performing at a club. We ended up performing at the beach on a stage with the real world people. Like it was just so much. And again, I don't even remember you remember performing on the beach, just on the beach without the real world, right? Like, but I could just imagine, you know, how that could have been. You know what I'm saying? But we just knew that no matter what, I think that goes back to the point that you were making about finding your peace. I don't think that we ever lost it. I think that in it we didn't even care. I don't even know that our expectation was honestly real. You know what I'm saying? Even though we said it, I think that we kind of went into it like whatever happens kind of happens. And I think that's what we're talking about here. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, and I'm sure many are like me, where this has happened over and over again. The process of setting these expectations and it's not going right, and then you realize, well, like, why am I holding on this so tight? You let go, and things are all right. And you say, you know what? I'm never going to do this again. I've learned my lesson. I've learned my lesson like a million times, probably literally.
Bro.
But that's the beauty of this conversation. Like, when are we going to finally embrace uncertainty and realize the gift that it really is? Like, it allows us to not be I don't know, like to not know everything. Like knowing everything is boring. If you knew that you're gonna live the same day every day, how bored would you be?
Bro, so that's one of my favorite things. Like I like to tell people whenever I ask people like, how's your day or how's life, and they be like, man, it's crazy. And I always in my mind, and I know I say it to myself more than I'm saying it to them, but I would literally say, man, don't that make life fun? Don't that make life interesting? Because I could imagine not having not even just about having life to be the same every day, but not having anything to figure out. Like in relationships, you got to learn how to figure out how to be cool, how to make somebody happy. In business, you got to figure out how to be more successful. Look, just using myself as an example. Well, before I do that, I want to read what Angela said. She says, it sounds like you had a collective peace and helped your individual peace not to break. Does that make sense? No. I definitely agree. That's another conversation, because I'm a big person on doing things with people, because I know the energy will help you overcome obstacles for sure. So I definitely 100% wholeheartedly agree with that. But I forgot the point that I was gonna make though. But shouts out to Angela for joining us today for sure. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. And I want to read what the other Angela said, aka Andona. She said expectations have the potential to create resistance in a sense, because the creation can't trump your own boundary of belief of what must be. And letting go, you release the resistance, allowing the creation to serve up its best in meeting your every desire. Powerhouse chat, guys. Ooh, love it.
So check this out, and I remember what I was gonna say, and I it's about me and my real estate brokerage, right? So 2 years ago, bro, 2 years ago, I paid somebody some odd amount, maybe between $500 and $1,000 to create a website for me, right? And I know you remember me talking about this on the mastermind, and I would literally talk about this mug every week, like, man, I'm trying to get this person to do this, and they almost done, and I knew what was going to happen, right? And then they get it done, and it's not what I want, right? And there is a level of disappointment there, right? Because I'm a leader of people and I'm trying to set the stage and I'm trying to do all of these things. So I have all of these different things that are built up within me. And number one, carrying that weight is a tough thing to carry. Even think about this. This matters to nobody but me. And I'm saying that to tell everybody else that expectation, it only matters to you, right? Like you can start thinking that people are a part of your expectation, but a lot of times people are not, they have their own things that they're going on. But anyways, fast forward, the site doesn't get done. So I pay another person some odd amount of money to do a site, right? And they don't do it. Like they mess it all up. I can't get no refund. And again, I'm feeling this defeat, right? I'm feeling this anxiety and all of the stuff that comes along with it, because what the expectation that I've set 2 years ago, I cannot accomplish to. It's like trying to get home. And I know getting a website is easy. I know it's easy because I've created one before, right? And then, but the cool part is I did not allow it to change the way that I felt about it. And the uncertainty part, when that comes in, it was like, well, can you really do this for yourself? Yeah. And I ended up, biting the bullet, spending a little bit more money, and I did it myself. And the reason why I tell the story is because along the way, I thought about doing it the entire time. This is about me not embracing what was real. This is not me embracing what I'm capable of. And this is where we kind of live it all the time. And because I took so long to make the decision, even after all the lessons learned, I still got home, but it was a lot longer because I wasn't willing to embrace what I knew to be true. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. So, okay, to that, a couple of things. So one thing, when Angela Hall was talking about the collective peace, right? And what you were just saying about what matters only matters to you. I think that's why it's important just to again, surround yourself with people that kind of understand this at a base level, because I know that when I'm around certain people, my problems don't matter. They don't. And I need that perspective at times to remind myself, this does not matter. Why are you tripping? This is the easiest thing to overcome. And we get to do that for each other. Like, I love doing that for people. Like, your problem ain't nothing, man. Just, you know, and I know some people like, man, you don't value my problems. No, I do not. I don't value anyone's problems because there is no problem. But anyway, to that point, like what you said about your site, you get paid for it. It wasn't what you want. You paid for it. It wasn't what you want. You probably didn't know what you wanted. And from seeing what you don't want, now you come in from a place where you know exactly what you want. And I've had that happen as well. And it's like, man, I wasted this time. I wasted this money. No, it's not wasted. You have a clearer idea that exactly what you want, so that the universe everyone in it, including yourself, can help you achieve that. And until we know specifically what we want, it's almost like we can't have it. But as the other Angela pointed out, when we're not so tied to that either, it allows creation to work on our behalf and gives us these situations where we also get what we don't want, so that we can magnify what we do want.
I think you should shout out Basar on that mud too, because I remember just something you sent to me recently, where a lady was asking, "Am I living my perfect life or something?" He was like, "Are you happy? Are you doing what you're supposed to do every day?" And but to that point, it just made me think of that. But also to the point you're making about, okay, so it's twofold here. The point that you make about realizing that every moment has its purpose. If I was able to look at it, I would see now the reason why I went through this is because I know exactly what I don't want. That was the purpose. That was the reason why it took me so long to get home. But the other part to this is, I knew from the very beginning that I could do it, right? But I never took it because I was uncertain about what I would be able to create for myself. I don't want to say that I didn't believe, because I knew that I could do it, but I wasn't certain of the quality. And it's crazy. It's a mind trick, because I was uncertain to the point where I was afraid to try. You get what I'm saying? And I think that's where we start to find ourselves, like, that uncertainty would make us stuck. And now we start to lean on other people. And again, not to say that other people are not important. Like, other people's energy is everything. I like, even from your standpoint, you said perspective. Like, I see other people's what they're concerned about, and I realize, okay, well, maybe I'm tripping. But I think that, like, being able to have that perspective is very, very important. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, I want to come back to what you said about uncertainty makes people not even want to try. And that's the sad part about it, and why we definitely need to embrace it, because that's the worst thing that could happen. You just don't try. And sometimes we think what we know what the worst is. No, that is the worst. And by you not trying, you are being in that worst state, when even if you try a little bit, it leads you a little bit closer, because now you can start asking new questions. With new questions comes new worlds and new answers. Like, no matter what you do, it's a world unto itself. Like, when I start trying to to make certain repairs to my own car, like, again, shout out to Bear. I reached out to him. I was like, look, man, I know you know stuff that they said I need to do this. What can I do? And he was like, this easy. Nah, that's not easy. And then I looked up the stuff he said was easy. That wasn't easy to me. And but some of the stuff I was willing to try, and some I wasn't. I had just accepted. I accepted defeat, and I was like, well, the worst that's gonna happen is I'm just gonna pay for this myself, which I was cool with accepting. But if I wasn't cool with accepting that, then the best thing that I could do is try, which I was willing to do for some of it. And so shout out to my dad too. I grew up with the saying, nothing beats a failure but a try. And I love that you brought that up too, because don't let uncertainty stop you from trying, or at least inquiring about how to try.
So I'm going to bring up something that we've been talking about on the show. And of course, you and I have been talking about offline a lot now too. And it's just to kill uncertainty, in a sense, right? And it's either you're quality or you're not.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Either you're quality or you're not. And again, it goes back to how we minimize ourselves. Now, I know we've talked about being uncertain in things, but I think this all kind of boils down to being uncertain with yourself, or not being certain about who you are. And it's kind of it's the premise of this show. Like, we like to minimize who we are, what we're capable of, where we can go, just whatever you want to put on top of it because of uncertainty. But that's because of we're deeming ourselves limited instead of limitless. And I think that, a good frame of thought, which, I've been literally saying to myself, I said it to my team here recently, is, we've been put here to share ourselves with everybody. And the reality of it is we're all quality. We're all quality. And it doesn't matter what comes out of me. When it comes out of me, I have to understand that it's advantageous for the rest of the world, because elsewise they wouldn't have had it. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, yeah, and that just brings to mind again the people that we really love and admire, in a sense. It's their differences. It's not their uniformity. It's not what's the same about them. It's their unique quality. Like, you're like, man, there's something about this person. I just enjoy it. And we're not always willing, like you said, to embrace that about ourselves, that uniqueness, because we're all unique. Nobody can be anyone else. People have tried to be other people, but even me, I've tried to emulate certain people in certain things, and it didn't lead to happiness. Like it because a part of me was crying out, "Be you." Do it how you would do it. See it how you would see it. Speak it how you would speak it. And once I started embracing that more and listening to that more, like, more joy just exuded from me naturally. And like you said, yeah, if we remember that we can only be us, and that's the best us for everything around us, it changes everything.
Bro, so listen, when I used to work at Chase, corporate America, you're supposed to look a certain way, you're supposed to act a certain way, and I get it. Everybody has a dress code. But along with dress code is not your character. Number one, I want to make sure I say that for everybody. But along with, the dress code, you seem to temper your character a lot of the times as well. And a part of that is because you're uncertain on how people will be responsive to you based off how you're acting. And I remember, bro, I used to be so intentional about how I acted because I didn't want to feel bottled up or minimized. And I still remember, so number one, just kind of set the stage. So I feel like I'm a people person. I'll speak. I think that I'm a people person. So when I used to get to work in the morning, I used to literally, we had hundreds of agents, bro. I would literally walk in the building. I would walk to every single person, bro. Every single person to say good morning, how you doing? And I actually got in trouble for it. But again, there were certain ways that you kind of want to, the swagger you want to have whenever you're dealing with people, right? But because I felt so bottled up and I did not want to be that way, I still remember a day I was standing at a pod, and it was probably like 6 or 7 people in the pod, and I was talking to them, right? And I was like, I'm gonna beat me today. Yeah. I was talking rah and on it, right? And so my manager came up and she was like, Troy, what are you doing? And so me, again, I was over exaggerating who I was because I was fighting to just be me. I couldn't just be me in that because I still wasn't even able to embrace it. So I had to go over and above. I was like chilling like a mug over here talking about popping it off. I just said whatever came to my mind because again, bro, I was fighting it because I was like, I have to break out of this mold that they got me in. And she literally looked at me and was like, what? And then she just walked away. And everybody at the table kind of laughed, right? And that was like a freeing moment for me because, again, I knew I was not the person that I was being to her, but I knew because she did not respond in the way that I initially thought, I could just be me and it'll be cool. But again, we find ourselves embracing yourself. Uncertainty in yourself is a crazy thing, man. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, I love that whole process. Let me shout out Shar again. Appreciate you joining us on Perfect Mode. I love that process because that's it. Like you embrace uncertainty to the point where, yeah, it overflowed. Like you couldn't take it anymore. But the beautiful thing that always happens is it's always freeing, no matter the outcome. Even if she would have reacted in a negative way, you still were relieved of that burden, and you felt free. Like you'll still be able to be yourself no matter what, even if she was negative or positive, because that's what it's all about, just being yourself. It feels good in all instances, no matter the feedback you get, when you're actually being yourself. And the only time we feel trapped, or even myself, the only time I might feel trapped or stuck is when I'm not truly being myself at all. And yeah, and then, like I think that's really is what like depression is. It's just you're not allowing yourself to be who you are.
Bro, it makes stuff so much harder. Again, I remember walking around at work, but I'm even going to fast forward, and I've told you this before. When I put my head in the race to run for school board one year, right? And everything about that mug was not me, but I wanted it to be me. And I'm gonna tell you the reason why I say that. So number one, when I jumped in, I'm grown. I'm who I am at this point, and so I'm coming into this like I'm finna be me. Now here's the problem though, right? Once I started being me, I had people around me, not my close friends, because my close friends, they already know, like, Troy not gonna switch the game up on us like that, you know what I'm saying? But I had other people that was tied to them, was like, hey, you know you shouldn't have that do-rag on in that picture. Hey, you know you should have did this. Like, all of these different things that were stuff that it was beyond me because it was not me, right? And you want to talk about like pulling hair, bro, like it made the job so much tougher. And the funny thing is, and I remember just looking at myself from what they were trying to make me to do. And then I remember when I would actually be able to go out and talk at these town halls. And when I was able to talk at the town halls, you can't hide me, right? It's just gonna be Troy every single time. But I remember the outpouring of love that I would always get from all the people that were involved. They'd be like, man, you so real. That's tight. And it was like I was stuck in two different places at one time. And again, that's what I'm saying. Like, when you're not able to embrace the uncertainty of yourself, it just makes the job so much harder. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. When you were speaking of that, one thing I want to speak on of shout out to the black people because I don't know if other races do this, but I've seen where successful blacks have the tendency to wear the entire black race on their shoulders, and that's a burden that no one can carry. And so I've heard things along the way, like, you need to behave this way because it'll make it easier for the next people. You don't want people to see you this way and that way. And that could be very limiting because people should see you as you are, not how the collective ideology should be of someone. And it took a while before I was able to kind of release that burden that I placed upon myself, because we placed it upon ourselves. Like, there's nobody, people suggest we put it on, but it's ultimately up to us if we carry that. And like you said, in corporate America, you felt limited, but you knew this real part of you is like, no, man, I'm not going to compromise for nobody. This is who I am. If they don't like it, then forget them. I have to be me. And so when we start to look at all these identities we put on, all these identities that we're wearing, it can be, what's the word? Like freezing. Like it can make us frozen because I don't know, like we're stuck wearing these masks that we shouldn't wear. Take it off, see what happens. That's the best thing you can do, is just see what happens. Say, forget it, F it, I'm gonna do it anyway. And I guarantee you'll end up smiling, whether the world reacts positively or negatively.
So let's talk about it then. Real talk though, because as I think about it, even when we talk about me in corporate America, like you ask my cousin, like I had braids for 20 years, bro. I was the only person rocking braids like that. You know what I'm saying? I had people telling me like, you weren't gonna be able to make this kind of money, you ain't gonna be able to do this, but I did it all while I was looking like I was looking. But again, fast forward, because it's easier said than done. It's gonna be a work in a practice, but like, how do you get to the point where embracing uncertainty in yourself and all things becomes normal? Like, what are practices that we can do? Because look, I'm telling you about the times where I was able to do it, but there are instances where I'm not. You know what I'm saying? And I know how I did it, but trying to recreate it in different instances is different for each person. And so, what do you think are some ideas that people can do in order to get there?
Yeah, great question. Well, first I want to read a couple comments before I answer. Shaw said, that's why I get in so much trouble. I can't be controlled. It's mental plus emotional constipation. and I'm sure it's not like real trouble because it's just, and even if it is, so what? It's just you. And Angela said, uncertainty often comes from the fact that we are not in control. But if we focus on the parts we can control and break down the challenge into smaller steps, then you will see the uncertainty dissipate. It's just overcoming fear. Yep, and fear doesn't even exist. But to your question, you asked. Say the question one more time.
You know, how do you get to the point? Like, what is a practice or what things you can do to start to be able to embrace it? You know,
Yeah.
recognizing. Well, go ahead, you got it.
Yeah. So the mental check we always talk about, like ask yourself, am I happy now? Am I happy now? Am I happy now? And the answer isn't always going to be yes. Like for me, the answer has not always been yes. And so I'm like, okay, why not? And it's usually because I'm not doing what I love. I'm not doing what I enjoy in this moment. And it's like, why am I? Because I'm choosing something else. Why am I choosing something else? Because you're stupid. You're right. I'm being stupid right now. I don't want to be stupid anymore. Let me go do what I need to do. And it instantly shifts. It instantly changes. And once you practice that more and more, it's easier to jump back into that when you recognize it. Now you're still going to fall back into some old patterns here and there where you're in a pattern of choosing non-happiness first. But what will get easier is immediately jumping into that happiness once you recognize it. Recognize it. So the best thing I can say is observe you as much as you can.
So I'm a piggyback on that because my thought when you say recognize you is realize. Well, first think about who can really do what you can do. Like for real. Like just think about who can really do what you can do, how you can do it. Like what you do and how you do it. It's really nobody that can do it. Even if I was to write a speech right now, right? And everybody can read the same speech, it will be delivered different. And it will resonate with different people, but depending on who gave it. And you know, there are a million people who grew up where I grew up, right? They grew up in the hood and who were able to overcome. But my story doesn't resonate with everybody that's in the hood. Some people because of the street that they live on. And so I think that just identifying that nobody can do what you do. Nobody can do what you do is so important, and you embracing it and understanding how necessary it is. Go ahead, Jay.
Well, check this out. I know you say your story might not resonate with people, but with everyone, but your delivery, like you pointed out, will. Like whenever you're being you, no matter what you're doing, you can be juggling. If it's in you to be a juggler, you're gonna stop and watch the juggler. Like that's a great juggler. And it's just funny that no matter what it is, like you recognize people being them, and we're always drawn to it, no matter the field or anything that they're a part of.
No, I'm gonna tell you why. Well, let's read what Loretta said. Shouts out to Loretta though. She said, "Yes, we all have unique energies, unlike any other person on this planet." And you know, I always like to bring this up because I promise you, I don't care who you are. If you've been in the club and you've seen this person, you always feel them, right? Like there's always this one person. Sometimes they're older, sometimes they're a different race, sometimes they just might be dressed funny, but they be all the way turned up in the club. They always be, and you might have a couple people that might be thinking that they're poking fun, but the reality of it is everybody's drawn to this person because you cannot deny the authenticity of who they are. You cannot say that person is not having fun. They're not joyous. They're not happy. They're not in love in their moment. And that's something that always resonates with you. You can see when it's them. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and I guarantee you, for every person, for every time there's a person like that in the club, there's somebody else who wants to do that. But for whatever reason, somebody told them they look stupid and they accepted it as a truth for them. And they're not confident enough in themselves yet to just do it. Like it stops them. It stops them in their tracks. And they feel sad about it. They don't realize they went to the club to let loose and have fun, but then they ended up being sad by going there. And in moments like that, it's a gift because you see where you're restricting yourself from being you. And now you know the key to your happiness. Because a lot of times it's like, well, I don't know what will make me happy. It's moments like that give you the exact blueprint. So So take those moments of uncertainty, those moments of doubt, and see them for what they truly are as a revelation to yourself about what it takes for you to really be your joyful self.
Bro, that's one of the reasons why I love social media. You know what I'm saying? And reels, and specifically because everybody, I put like this. I feel like people are being more fearless in being themselves, bro. Like, and showing little clips of who they are. There's this one guy, and he does this funny dance with his leg where he be going side to side, and nobody else can do it. Like on the internet, it's a thing of everybody trying to do his dance, but they can't do it, right? And it's funny because I could just imagine it wasn't a dance. I could just imagine, like you said, somebody telling him like, "Don't do that," but he did it in the video, and next thing you know, the entire world is a part of it because nobody else can give what he gave.
Yeah.
And that's my thing. Like, for him to be brave enough and not have the fear that we was talking about to give himself that way, and if we can do that, like, we all want to be acknowledged in some way, form, or fashion, but we don't all want to give ourselves freely.
Yeah.
Or be vulnerable or be open. And I just, again, that's one of the reasons why I love it, because you do get to see more instances of it now than we did in the past. And it makes it easier for other people to share themselves, or be unapologetically them in front of other people. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and check this out. Like, there have been times where, to some of my close friends, I've tried to restrict them unknowingly based on my own limitation. I've said, no, I don't think you should do that. They did it anyway, and it turned out great for them. I've had close friends do the same thing with me. Like, no, I don't think you should do that. I did it anyway, and it worked out great for me. And neither of us held any whatever about the other. Like, I can't believe they tried to limit me or anything. Again, that instant also shows you what you really want. Like, if your best friends and family are telling you don't do something, but you still want to do it, you know, oh, okay, I truly want to do this. Where before you might have been on the fence, and vice versa. Like, if you're that friend telling somebody don't do this and they still want to do it, you just help them realize how much they really want to do it. So I say that to say, never be mad at the messenger, be happy for the messenger.
Yeah. And then I want to go back to a point that Angela said about, group uncertainty and, moving forward. Like, and I'm gonna shout you out. Like, my entire time growing up, I've worked with a bunch of my friends. Like, some of them are here now. Like, we actually work jobs. And a lot of times when we was working, we were just having fun, but we was never working. You get what I'm saying? And why I shout you out is and it's all, again, about what you embrace, or what you're willing to be okay with. You showed me how to work and have fun at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I never thought it was possible, because whenever you would be being funny, I would be like, he being funny, but he's still working though. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't know what that really looked like. And you just, and I think that embracing other people's, I don't want to call it uncertainty, but embracing other people's character and the way that they are helps you in yours, because I didn't know what that looked like, and I never would have tried it, because I might have thought that if I'm playing, if I take this job serious, my friend's gonna look at me crazy. Or if I'm taking it serious and I'm not playing, they're gonna look at me a certain way as well. So, I think that group dynamic definitely plays a big role in it too. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and shout out to Shar, saying one of the things I highly agree with. Being serious is dumb, so dumb. Yeah, and I appreciate you saying that, because recently we all have things that might need to get done. We just don't want to do them. It's like, I don't feel like doing this. I got to do it. And I've been in moments where I'm doing it and I ask myself, am I happy? Question. The answer is no. And so I'm always looking for ways to improve that. And what I found is, if you start off by doing what you love, that energy will allow you to easily do the things that you don't, that you feel in that moment still need to be done. And because then I checked in on myself again, like, wow, I'm just typing away. I'm just doing this. And I didn't want to do this before, but now I have all this energy because I allowed myself to play first, to do what I really enjoy. And yeah, it's beautiful. Go ahead. So
now, who was that just said that being serious is dumb? Because I got a comment about that.
That's Charnelia, one of my homegirls.
Okay, Charnelia. So I want to comment on that, and I'm saying this to everybody because I want you to recognize yourself when you're serious real quick. But let me read what Angela said first. She says, when you embrace your own authenticity, you create the safety and safe space for others to be themselves. And that's absolutely 100% true. You create a whole new world for everybody because your uniqueness is that important. That's what that is. But I want to go back to the point that Sharnelia was making. And I challenge everybody to see this because I still have serious moments. Oh, Nelly, you want me to say Nelly? Okay, shout out to Nelly. All right. Um, like I have serious moments, right? But every moment that I'm serious, like I literally am looking at myself mad, and I challenge you to just check yourself when you do it, because again, today I still have serious moments, but when I'm in those moments, I'm not even focused on whatever I'm serious about. I'm generally looking at myself and like, is it that serious? I literally am like that. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. What's funny is we get close to the end, but I want to say what's funny is funny moments or being silly is fun in silly instances where everyone is silly. But being silly and having something funny happen when everyone else is serious is the most fun thing you can do. Like it's I can't describe the feeling. I suggest everyone try it. Like when you be in a serious situation with a bunch of serious people and just do something silly, and it's I don't know, it'll bring so much joy not only to yourself but to others as well that are allowing themselves to recognize that silliness.
I gotta say this real quick. I know we ran out of time, but we was in Miami Beach one time, and we was drinking crazy. You know what I'm saying? We was having fun. We were working that day, and one of our good friends, shouts out to Tinder. Tinder got so messed up that he took off running and fell flat on his face. And at this moment, it's nighttime. When I say he fell flat on his face, he was gone for the rest of the night. So we're in the middle of Miami on Washington Street trying to figure out, or it was either Washington or Lincoln, we're trying to figure out how we can get him back to the hotel because we're far. And we're serious, like, man, we got to get him out of here. And JClay could not stop laughing at this dude. Like, we was trying so hard to get him there, but he couldn't stop laughing. But I said that to say this, look, me, my cousin Kim, and I think it was a girl named Crystal that was with us, and then a miscellaneous person that was just running with us. We were trying to be serious, but we could not be serious anymore because Clay would not stop laughing. And the craziest part about it is that is still to this day one of the most funniest and fun nights that I've ever had in my life, even though it was completely different than I anticipated. But I remember how you, and again, that's the reason why being fun, being happy, I don't even want to say that you were being fun. You just chose not to not be happy. And choosing to be yourself and being in a good space can change the dynamic of everything. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, I wasn't going to why I was laughing so hard, but I won't do that. I won't. It was just a fun situation. But really, every situation is if we allow it. Like if we embrace the uncertainty that I don't know how this is going to be a fun thing. You can allow it to be fun, but if you certainly decide that this is going to be every situation is going to be serious, or this has to go the way that I envision it. It is going to be serious, and you are going to look at yourself in an angry way, like, man, why do I not feel like I'm having a good time? It's because you aren't. You fixated on the certainty that you would not have a good time, so it happened that way instead of again just embracing it. So to kind of wrap it up, if you could summarize, and I know you're gonna say something else too. If you could summarize, like, what's the best steps to really embracing uncertainty?
In my recap, this is how I want to sum it up. Yeah. Is that there's nothing uncertain about you. There's nothing uncertain. Like, understand that you are special and you shouldn't be uncertain about that. You are unique. You shouldn't be uncertain about that. Nobody else can be you. You shouldn't be uncertain about that. The things that you can do, nobody else can do. You shouldn't be uncertain about that. Like, it's a reason why there are 1,000 pairs of jeans, because there was 1,000 ideas on how to make one pair of jeans. Like, you have to understand that you are one of one, and you shouldn't be uncertain about that. You should be able to embrace your uniqueness and understand that you're special. And if you can do that, even in its time, you can change the world. And Jay, you can take us out of here.
Yeah, man, I love that. I'm happy to. I just want to say it's crazy to be happy for situations where I'm going to be uncertain of, but I am, just because it gives me the opportunity to embrace that uncertainty. So yeah, appreciate all y'all that rock with us. If you found this helpful, hit that share button, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And just remember, you're a perfect creation made by a perfect creator. So you might as well accept your perfection and enter perfect mode. Chill.
If I reminded you that you are perfect, would you argue me down or step into your perfection? Welcome to perfect mode, where there are no excuses, no expectations, and we explore the world without limitations. I'm JClay, rapper and spiritual teacher, with my co-host Troy Washington, your friendly neighborhood realtor. Let's be real, so let's be perfect.